Alright. Twitch. Search. Race Spec. There it is there. Alright. Audio is working as it should. Streams up, chats up, we're all good to go. Got all 20 drivers in the lobby as well. That is fantastic. Right on the hour. So we shouldn't be too far away from starting this round of the championship. Just be waiting on Captain Liddell to give the order. There it is. Pretty awesome again to see a full grid of cars in Tier 1. Hopefully with that in mind we get to see some good racing. Around the track I haven't commentated round for a while. Alright, when that timer hits 0, I'll start up my intro as per normal. Hello everyone and welcome to round 9 of the Pacific Tier 1 Championship here on Race Spec Esports. I'm Everingham, your commentator for this event, and for tonight we'll be competing at Shanghai International Circuit for the Chinese Grand Prix. Constructed in 2004 and designed by track-making Supremo Herman Tilke, Shanghai has been a regular feature on the Formula 1 calendar for 2 decades, with it only taken off thanks to COVID-19. Not that the virtual world has missed it though, as it's featured in all of the F1 games made during the pandemic. It's certainly not the most spectacular circuit in the world, but on occasion the racetrack can put together an interesting race thanks to its Tilke design. Long straights and heavy braking zones make up the majority of the 5.45 kilometer circuit. It consists of 16 corners and 2 DRS zones that lead into the primary overtaking spots of the long right-hander of turn 1 and the incredibly tight hairpin of turn 14. Drivers can also try and pass into the hairpin of turn 6 and the 90-degree left of turn 11, so there are plenty of opportunities to try and pass, but as always, qualifying well will be incredibly beneficial for achieving victory today. Now, before we touch on what will be happening out on track, there is a little bit of news to go through first from the previous race in France. There were no incident reports submitted in by the drivers last week. As a result, the final finishing positions of that race remain completely unchanged. In the Drivers' Championship, GeForce Crichton leads the way on 226 points, with Matt Plevy on in P2 on 128. 98 points separating the top two in the Drivers' Championship. Mathematically speaking, it's definitely possible for GeForce Crichton to win the championship tonight. If he outscores Plevy, he's basically sealed it. P3 in the standings is Seb Spicer. He's on 105 points, 23 behind Matt Plevy. P4 is Seb, which is quite astounding considering he's a reserve driver. He's on 92 points, with Grid Jokes rounding out the top 5 on 91. In the Teams Championship, Mercedes lead on 264 points, with Ferrari in P2 on 192. Alpine are next on 141, McLaren are next on 138, with Haas rounding out the top 5 on 104 points. Not much really to have to cover. We can now focus on this here qualifying session, which is at the moment dry, but as you can see, there are plenty of clouds around, so I'll be curious to see if we get any wet weather conditions during this qualifying session. If that's the case, those guys in pit lane probably do need to hurry up and get out and do a lap at some stage. But considering how calm it is in pit lane, maybe the likelihood of rain is quite low. But with approximate weather, you genuinely never know. We get the telemetry. Oh, we got that all up. Yes. That's fine. Don't need tyre data at the moment. Everyone should be on the same tyre. We're right on board with Mr. Blake Stevenson, taking on a tour of this 5.4 kilometre Shanghai International Circuit. DRS open. He'll cross the finish line to begin the flying lap and up towards the incredibly tricky turn 1. On the brakes, down to 5th gear, down to 4th gear, as we head into the hairpin of turn 2. Nice and tight through here, as we head through turn 3, and now exiting through turn 4. Very tricky traction zone here, up towards the kink of turn 5. This will complete the first sector. Into the hairpin of turn 6, definitely a decent overtaking spot here. 2nd gear on the power, as we head up towards the sweeper, that is turn 7. Flat out the whole way round towards the right-hand sweeper of turn 8, down to 5th gear. He hits the apex there and around turn 9 and then turn 10. Another tricky traction zone. This will complete the middle sector, heading up towards turn 11. On the brakes hard, down to 3rd gear, clip the curve on the inside, around turn 12, and now the very tricky turn 13. Watch him modulate the throttle for a little bit there, just trying to find some grip as he heads on to the incredibly long back straightaway. DRS open in 8th gear. We'll be seeing top speeds of around 330, I imagine. Let's have a look. 326 kilometers an hour, 2nd gear around the hairpin at turn 14. This little kink at the exit, that's turn 15, and now turn 16, the final corner. Very easy to throw away a good lap there if you run wide. Stevenson does no such thing. Sets the benchmark for everyone else to try and beat, a 31.2. Prezzo out on track. Warren does a lap. He's 4/10 off Stevenson. Daniel Koob on a flying lap. Ferrari Pro, he might have been on a flyer. It sounded like he went off throttle coming out of the long sweeper. Eagle jumps up to P2 with a 31.2. He is 6/100ths off Stevenson's provisional pole time. Plevy making his way through the middle sector, so we'll keep our eyes on the Ferrari. There is an Alpine arriving at the finish line as Spicer jumps to the top with a 30.9. Rockford beats him with a 30.7. Ferrari Pro goes second with a 30.8. Roscoe Arm in the pits, got a couple of guys on outlaps towards the bottom of the order. Championship leader Crichton on a flying lap, making his way through the middle sector with ACW in hot pursuit. Apollo Pepsi will be crossing the line now. Goes slowest of all on the intermediate set of tyres, so he's just putting a benchmark down. He'll be doing a proper lap later on. Matt Plevy heading up towards the flying finish. He'll do a 31.2, 7th fastest for the man who was P2 in the Drivers' Championship. Bit of a slipstream there for G-Force Crichton heading into the hairpin. Down to 2nd gear, back on the power. Eventually reaches full throttle using all of the racetrack on the outside of turn 15. Oh, a little bit of a glitch there from the game as Crichton jumps to the top. A 30.518, and the car behind him, ACW, goes 2nd fastest with a 30.6. Just under 1.5 tenths behind Crichton's time. Prezzo F1 about to finish, rather have another go at a flying lap. Evidently made a small mistake on his first flying lap attempt, decided to bail. He's going for a 2nd run here. Round turn 2 and turn 3. Very tight, twisty opening complex. It's probably the most unique part of Shanghai. That Snell section that begins the lap certainly creates a lot of drama, particularly on the opening lap. Around the hairpin of turn 6 and up towards the sweepers of 7 and 8. It's a fantastic bit of track, this. Absolutely flat out the whole way around. What a camera angle that is too. Round turn 8. You prepare yourself for 9. Tricky braking zone through there. Nice and easy on the power. Heading out of turn 10. Up towards the middle sector split. Turn 11, definitely an overtaking area. If you can get a good run out of turn 10, you can try and set something up at turn 11, particularly in wet weather conditions. In the dry, though, you're better off just waiting for this incredibly long back straight. DRS Open heading up towards the hairpin. Car getting well out of the way. I think that'll be ACW on a in-lap. Third gear. The only driver I've seen use third gear there. Up towards the final corner now. Could hear they're using the curb on the outside, trying to open up the corner as much as possible. Goes 14th fastest with a 32.0. Seb on a fly. Same with Big Al. He's coming towards the end of a flying lap. Nice and tidy out of the final turn. It'll be interesting to see what Shanghai looks in the future as Big Al jumps to the top with a 30.4. I mention this, of course, because in real life there's a gravel trap on the outside of the final corner. Caught out Carlos Sainz quite badly. I'll be keen to see if they implement that in 2020, in F1 24. I doubt it, but we'll see. Seb making his way into turns 9 and 10. Full throttle, very early, fully committed there. Into turn 11, third gear. Flips over the curbs nicely. Now round turn 13. Very notorious corner, that banked right-hander. Very easy to get too carried away with delivering power. You'll lose the back end, it'll snap away from you. You can end up in the grass or potentially in the wall. Third gear, like Prezzo. The only other guy I've seen use third the whole way round. Typically I see guys drop it down into second. Fifth gear round the final corner and back onto the main straight. Seb will jump to P2 with a 30.492. He is 17 thousandths of a second behind Big Al's provisional pole time. At the moment, Bags Liddell is down by 2.5 tenths. His first representative that lap, though, isn't great, with a 42.5. So he'll be looking to just try and set a better benchmark, get a better idea where he's at overall. Levi on an out lap. Same with Apollo Pepsi. He's about to start a flying lap. Bompton has just started a fly. He's heading towards turn 1. Keep our eyes on Mr. Liddell here as he heads towards the hairpin. 326 kilometers an hour, all the way down to 70 odd kilometers an hour. Not that it matters though. He invalidates through the final corner. He'll bail on this lap and go back into the pits. Bompton up by a whole tenth to the first sector. That's a solid improvement. Currently P14 with a 31.5, 1.1 seconds off pole position, which is his teammate Big Al. Stevenson coming towards the end of a flying lap. He will stay P10, only improves by 65 thousandths of a second. Seb Spicer making his way through the opening sector snail section. Eventually reaches full throttle just before he came into the camera shot there. Up by a whole tenth to the first sector. Luke Rockford coming out of turn 4 up towards turn 5. Clock says for the Alpine driver, he's up by just over 1/10 of a second. So both Rockford and Spicer, they're improving. Not a surprise though. With the track conditions improving, the times should tumble. Daniel Koo on a flying lap attempt as well. Second gear, short shifts up to third, back down to second, back up into third gear. I believe Bompton just went up to P11 with a 31.1. Daniel Koo up by only 29 thousandths to the first sector. Spice is up by a tenth to the middle sector. What about Rockford? Well, he's up by almost 3/10 of a second, so he's challenging for pole position here. Round the hairpin for Seb Spicer. Second gear, up to third, up to fourth gear, fifth gear, into sixth. Drop it back down to fifth for the final corner as he heads onto the main straight. DRS open, cross the line to jump up to P6. Rockford, meanwhile, will finish this flying lap. Down to fifth gear. DRS open up towards the line. It is provisional pole for Rockford, a 30.3. Crichton up by 300ths to the first sector. Needs to find a decent chunk of time here for the middle and final sectors. mostly dependent on his setup, whether he's more aero-focused for the first and middle sector, or perhaps more speed-focused for that final sector. Let's see what the clock says. Crichton's up by almost 0.2 of a second, so he, like Rockford, just a few minutes before, is challenging for pole position with this lap. On to the back straightaway we go. DRS open. And what kind of top speed will we see? We've seen about 326 for the most part. There's 326, 327. Just a little bit quicker in a straight line. Bit of throttle modulation there as he's trying to find the grip out of the hairpin. Up towards the final corner. Down to 5th. Back on the power. Car sliding. He wouldn't have liked that. Crossing the line. Yeah, he lost all that time he gained through that final sector. Huge slide through that final corner. Did well to catch it. Spicer going back into the pits. Matt Plevy, P10. He's done the exact same time as Zach Warren, the car ahead of him. So incredibly tight here in the mid-pack. Right now, though, it is Luke Rockford sitting at the very top of the board. Ross Graham, he's going back into the pits as well. So we got Bags Liddell getting ready to start a flying lap. Just behind him, I think, is Big Al in the Alfa Romeo. Up towards turn 1. On the brakes, just for a little bit. Down to 5th gear, down to 3rd gear. Trying to get the car slowed down, but also trying to keep up momentum all the way through the first 2 corners. Nice and tidy on the exit. The Red Bull looking stable. Round turn 5. Clock says to the first sector he's down by 27 thousandths of a second. And it appears that Big Al has bailed on a flying lap attempt. He's gone back into the pits. Do have a Ferrari out on track. That is Ferrari Pro on an out lap. But everyone else who isn't Bags Liddell, they're on in laps. So we'll keep our eyes on the Red Bull for now. Nice and tidy out of turn 10. Clock says to the mid-sector he should improve considerably. He has. Still stuck on that 42.5, so he'd be just looking to put a competitive time on the board. In order to crack the top 10, he has to do a 31 dead. See what kind of top speed he has down this long straight. DRS open. There's 310, 315, 320. 325, 326, 327 briefly as we head around the hairpin. Using all the curb on the outside. Up towards the final corner now, 6th gear. Oh, the car unstable. He would have lost time because of that. It's going to be a 31.3 P18. I'm sure he won't be happy with that at all. And with the time left on the clock, I think that's qualifying over for Bags Liddell. He's got a long race ahead of him, seems. Seb out on track, Ferrari Pro getting ready to start a flyer. But this is the problem with going at this time. Look at the traffic heading through the first sector. There's a decent chance Ferrari Pro will have to deal with that. Fortunately, no one impeding into turn 1. Round the first corner, down to 4th gear. Down to 2nd now for turn 2. Taking a very early apex there. Very early. 4th gear. 5th. Up into 6th. 7th gear. Round turn 5. Clock says he's up by 34 thousandths of a second. 3rd gear. Maybe a bit too hot into the hairpin. Look at this. Look at the traffic. The Haas in front only gets out of the way at the last second. There's a Williams. It gets out of the way. Round turn 9. See, this is a troublesome thing. With online qualifying, you don't get any kind of information. You just sort of have to be privy to what's around you. If you're not paying attention, you're going to block someone like Ferrari Pro. Onto the back straight. There's the Alpine in front. He will get a little slipstream, just a little one. Now it should be clear from here to the finish line. Bags Liddell has retired in pit lane. No surprise there. 1 corner remains for Ferrari Pro. Currently P8 with a 30.8. DRS open up towards the line. It's going to be a 30.6, P7 for him. Alright, how's everyone else doing? Seb on a lap, heading up towards the first sector split. He does have an Alfa Romeo directly behind. I believe that would be Bompton as Al's on a out lap. ACW beginning a flyer, making his way through turns 1, 2, then 3. Seb Spicer doing the same just behind. GeForce Crichton beginning his final flying lap of the session. Seb, round turn 10, up towards the middle sector split. Can he find any time? No, he can't. He's a whole 10th and a half down. Don't think he'll be improving. Rockford session is done. That's the benchmark, 30.3. Nickman jumps up to P9 with a 30.9. Out to the first sector is up by 16 thousandths of a second. Crichton's up by a whole 10th to the first sector. Polo Pepsi up to P9. Eagle up to P10. They've done 30.8s. Bit of a wiggle there through 10. Did that cost him time or did he find some? He's up by just over a 10th and a half. He was up by a similar margin on his previous lap as Seb's session is done. Bompton jumps up to P12 with a 30.9. So it's all down to this then. Al's up by almost 2/10 to the middle sector. Oh, that was tight between Crichton and that Ferrari. Most likely Ferrari Pro. On the brakes hard. Down to third gear. Down to second. Maybe missed the apex by just a smidgen. Up towards the final corner. Sixth gear. Down to fifth. Daniel Koo jumps to the top with a 30.3. Crichton can't get there. He's P3. But what about Al? 1 corner remains for him. Back onto the main straightaway he goes. DRS open. Crossing the line. It's not enough. Daniel Koo has snatched away pole position right at the death of qualifying. He's taken it by 45 thousandths of a second. How about that? Less than 1/10 of a second separating the top 4 cars. Not a bad effort from these boys. Not a bad effort at all. Excellent. That's it. End of qualifying. Let's see what we have in store for the main event. Look at that as well. Just over 1 second separating the whole field. So, it's Daniel Koo who will start from pole position then for this Chinese Grand Prix. Big Al will start alongside him on the front row. Luke Rockford starts from P3 in front of GeForce Crichton, with Seb rounding out the top 5. ACW is P6, then Seb Spicer. Ferrari Pro, Apollo Pepsi, and Eagle rounds out the top 10. Nick Mann's P11, followed by Gridjugs, Bompton, Warren, Plevy, Stevenson, Roscoe, Levi, Bags down in 19th position, and Prezzo starting from the back of the field in 20th. Like I said, only 1.1 seconds off pole position. Not bad at all from the field tonight. It's now time for the race. Race where GeForce Crichton can wrap up the Drivers' Championship, securing his 6th Pacific Tier 1 title. Overcast conditions, once again, like it was in qualifying. But keen to see if there's going to be any wet weather interference for this Grand Prix. If there is, there's going to be chaos. There's going to be drama. And I reckon we're going to see a fair amount of drama on this very first lap as the field make their way through the snail section for the first time. It will be a bit chaotic with everyone trying to sort themselves out. I wouldn't be surprised if there was damage. I wouldn't be surprised either if someone got taken out, spun out through the first corner. It usually develops a mess. Drivers just fine-tuning their setups, and once we cut away from here, be looking at the grid and it'll be lights out and away we go. Alrighty then, here we go. We have 5 red lights, and we're underway here in Shanghai. It's a nice start from the front 4 as they head towards turn 1. The drivers scramble to find some room as Rockford and now go side by side through the first corner. Up towards turn 2. Rockford round the outside. He might give himself the inside line here. At 3, he does. He bangs wheels with Daniel Koo. He's on the soft tyre. That's why he has so much grip, and he's just taken the lead. Daniel Koo down to P2. Al in 3rd. Crichton under pressure from ACW, who looks down the inside. Making a little bit of contact there. Both drivers on the hard tyre. Sliding is Seb further back in the Williams. Through the S as we go. And it appears, oh, someone's had a moment. It's Bags Liddell. He's had a moment at turn 6. But where we didn't have a moment was through the opening complex. Everyone got through incredibly well from the looks of things. Only Bags spinning out at the hairpin has been the only source of drama so far. Yellow's out. I think that was Prezzo having a moment there, just bringing out yellows ever so briefly. There's a position change on the opening lap. Plenty of shuffling up and down the leaderboard, but it's Rockford who leads. It's Roscoe who's spun, and he's plummeted down the order to 20th place. Through the hairpin we go. Rockford with a 1 second margin already. Plenty of locking up heading into that hairpin. Nickman getting in front of Apollo. Matt Plevy getting in front of Eagle. But in terms of tyres, just about everybody is on the hard compound. Rockford, a race leader, is on the softs. Matt Plevy's on the softs as well. Bompton and Stevenson, they're on the mediums. Look at this further back, heading through turn 2, then turn 3. The Haas on the hard tyre, trying to make do with the lack of grip he's got. He's now battling Matt Plevy. Matt on those soft tyres, he'll be looking to be aggressive. Oh, that's late by the Aston Martin. That was Warren, I think. Oh, and taken out. The McLaren, Stevenson and Eagle come together. Virtual safety car has been deployed. 2 cars out of the Chinese Grand Prix. Like that. Yes, Stevenson and Eagle hooking wheels, sending each other into the fence on the outside of turn 6. Their race is over. Rockford now with a decent margin in hand, but everyone has to pay attention to the Delta. You do not want to get a drive through. Still yellow. We're waiting for the green flag to be waved so we can get back under racing conditions. I don't think we should have anybody coming into the pits, except for those who have damage after that turn 6 incident. I'm curious now, do either of the Astons have damage? As Zach Warren gives himself a drive-through penalty for speeding under VSC, and in he comes straight away. Well, both Astons have stayed out. In comes Prezzo, I think. It is Prezzo. Did he get a drive-through as well? Perhaps he did. Yep, must have. His pit crew aren't coming out. That's a shame for both of them. That's why you got to pay extra close attention to the Delta during a VSC. It can chop and change on you at any moment. If you're caught napping, you'll get the penalty, and it can absolutely ruin your race. Matt Plevy makes up a spot. He's into P11 now, just outside of the top 10. Rockford making full use of those soft tyres. Gapped the field by a decent amount through turn 11. Then turn 12, and around the long sweeper of 13. There's the race leader. Here's the rest of the pack. Onto the back straight. No DRS just yet. Oh, yes, there is. It's lap 3. Yes. Daniel Koo will get by Al. Crichton has a look. Doesn't fully commit. He wasn't quite close enough to really send it down the inside. These two giving each other a hard time as Stevenson has left the session. A bit of battling further back, which is good. Bit of action towards the front. Ty battling here. Crichton with the inside line heading into turn 2. That's going to switch to Big Al's favour. He has the inside line. Does Crichton have the traction to stay in front? The answer is not quite. Al's making it difficult. Round the kink, into the hairpin. Al outbraking the championship leader. He's got a better position out of the hairpin as well. And as a result, he keeps P3. Just able to put the traction down so much earlier compared to Crichton with that outside line. And with that outside line at the hairpin, it gave him the inside line at turn 7, the long sweeper. Essentially, Crichton had no choice but to yield and go back to 4th. The gap continuing to extend between the top 2. But I am very curious to see how Rockford's race will go once pit stops commence. Everyone line astern. There goes Al on Daniel Koo. Crichton, can he follow? No, is it? Oh, he has a look though. He has a genuine look. He's locked it all up. And as a result, Seb gets past. Obviously an unintentional look from Crichton, considering how crossed up he got into the braking zone. Tried to get that thing stopped to not make contact, and he was able to pull that off. As a consequence, he's lost a position. But as a reward, he's still very much in the race, as ACW has an audacious look up the inside. No way he can pull that off, not with that outside line. Crichton keeps position. It was a very ambitious look, but he had no real strength in that battle. Wasn't in the right position and doesn't have the outright grip to battle. So he stays in P6. Curb cam there, where a decent chunk of the vision is just grass. Fantastic. Up towards turn 11 now. I imagine Koo, if he's close enough, will retake second position. Although he is losing a bit of time to Al. Gap has increased to almost 7 tenths. It's now 7 tenths as they head on to the back straight. Top gear now. DRS open. He definitely won't be close enough to have a go. So he'll stay behind Al for now. Oh, look at this down the inside from Spicer. Ferrari Pro gets the over-under. Spicer has the dominant position down the inside at the final corner. We'll take P7 away from the Ferrari driver. Down the main straight we go. Ferrari Pro close. But here at turn 1, he won't be able to do much. Can't really set anything up into turn 2 either. Now Plevy on those soft tyres. He's made up a decent number of spots, up 6 to be exact. 6 laps into this race. I'll be curious to know how terrible those tyres are, even after this short amount of time. Looking at Rockford's pace, he's about even with Al at this point. Maybe a tad bit slower. Those soft tyres don't have an incredibly long shelf life, that's for sure. Round turn 9, then turn 10. Just a long DRS train. From P2 all the way down to, oh dearie me, P14. Matt Plevy might break it up with those aging soft tyres. We'll have to wait and see. At the moment, the gap between the two Ferraris sit at 1 second. Seb having a crack here down the inside. ACW leaves him room. Coming out of the corner though, ACW gets better traction and keeps the position. Leaves himself vulnerable though. DRS open on Seb Spicer's McLaren. Closes the gap. Looks to the inside. You can see a battle in front as well as Crichton has a look down the inside of Seb. They're side by side heading towards the hairpin. And Crichton gets in front. He retakes fourth. There's Al, Daniel Koo, Crichton, Seb. Then Seb Spicer. Spicer's McLaren pretty quick down the straights, it seems. Made a move on Ferrari Pro and ACW using that incredibly long back straight. Look at the gap at the front now, 3.6 seconds. Those soft tyres, well and truly seen better days. I imagine Rockford will be pitting shortly. Through turn 11. Then turn 12. Around the long sweeper. Koo losing a little bit of ground, but not enough to lose DRS. Crichton not quite close enough to battle the Williams in front. To stick behind for a bit, and Plevy has created a gap between himself and his teammate. Through goes Apollo. The back. Everyone driving pretty calm at the moment. Plevy just won't have the grip to try and fight Apollo at this stage. Stays out for another lap. Round turns 1 and 2 again. Oh, as Matt actually gets back by Apollo. So Apollo with no DRS down the main straight. Left himself vulnerable to Matt. The Ferrari driver finds his way back through. Apollo close, but not quite close enough to dive down the inside at the hairpin. Admittedly, the gap between Rockford and Al has sort of evened out. 3.6 seconds. It's not shrinking as much as it did last lap. So Rockford still turning up the wick. Still got decent speed on those tyres. Perhaps on the previous lap he made a bit of a mistake. Lost time that way rather than through tyre pace. Seb not quite close enough, not yet anyway. Someone had a look a bit further back. I think that might have been Ferrari Pro just having a bit of a look on ACW. Round the final corner. Running wide goes Seb. That might be a warning. Didn't gain any time from that, but game doesn't like it when you do that. Be surprised if that was a track limits warning. Bompton putting pressure on Nickman in front. Levi's getting close to this battle as well. Sure he'd like to get involved. Try and make some moves. Oh, and around goes Nickman. Just like that, we have a virtual safety car. Lost the back end coming out of turn 4. Threw it into the Armco. Completely destroyed the front wing. We'll have to pit and get that fixed. Prezzo comes in. And it's evolved to a safety car. I've just seen the yellow dot. It is not just a VSC, it's a proper full-blown safety car. Well, ain't this perfect for Rockford? He can pit onto hards and go to the end. No trouble at all. I can't really say the same for everyone else on the hard tyre. I don't think the mediums can go that long effectively. I'm sure they can make it, but effectively speaking, oh. How about that? What a perfect safety car for those on the softer compounds. Sure, we'll see the race leader peel in. There we go. And what does everyone else behind do? Well, they do the same thing, of course. In they come. One after another. They're all in. Going to be complete mania in pit lane. Grid jokes. Trying to avoid Apollo there. I don't think he was trying to do a Sebastian Vettel impression. I think he was just trying to avoid the car in front. Double stack over at Ferrari. There's Seb Spicer. Grid jokes in, set of mediums. They go on. There's Apollo Pepsi just in front. Matt pitting onto a set of hards. Set of mediums at the ready for Roscoe. And away he leaves as well. Zach Warren coming in, set of mediums. As Eagles left the session now. Curious, does Prezzo pit again for a new set of tyres, or will he be comfortable on the ones he's got? He's comfortable. Rockford on the hard tyre at the front of the field. I imagine he'll feel pretty comfortable trying to get those tyres to the end of the race. I'll be curious to see what these medium runners can do. Typically speaking, Shanghai, it tends to tear through the tyres. You could see that with the soft runners in the first stint. Could only do 6-7 laps and then you would know better than the hards. So how long can the mediums last? There's only one real way to find out. Look at everything else. Everyone has made at least one pit stop. There's the position change graphic. Run through the order. Rockford up 2. Al still in P2. Daniel Koo is down 2. Crichton still in 4th. Seb's made up 2 spots. Seb has lost 1 spot. That's weird to say. ACW down 1 spot. Ferrari Pro still in 8th, and Apollo Pepsi still in 9th. Everyone else behind has changed position. So Grid Jokes up 2, Levi up 7, the most out of anybody. Bompton up 1, Plevy up 2, Bags Liddell up 5, Roscoe up 2, Nickman down 5, understandable after what happened earlier, as Bags pits. Interesting. Tyre graphic up again. Onto what exactly? A new set of mediums and a front wing to boot. Did he make contact with someone and got damage? Or did he have damage before that and the team didn't properly repair his front wing? Either or, he's down in last position now. Down in 18th. I'm sure you won't mind that too much. He wasn't much better the extra places that he had before that pit stop. He'd just be hopeful to have a trouble-free race from here to the checkered flag, I think. Once he catches up, safety car lights will go out. We'll get back under green flag conditions. But as of right now, the advantage is definitely towards the medium runners. They'll have the outright grip, they'll have the outright speed. But in terms of longevity, it's definitely in Rockford's and Plevy's corner. It's only a matter of how long those mediums can last. And if they don't last long at all, well, do they need to make an extra pit stop? Will weather become a factor? You can still see it is very overcast. You never really know with these races, especially with approximate weather. Safety car arriving at the hairpin. There it is. Heading up towards the pit lane entry. Rockford controlling the field. And hopefully everyone's paying attention to the car in front. Everyone will be checking up through here. So just give each other a little bit of space. Oh, look at that. Even us sim racers know how to get through this hairpin properly. What do you know? As Rockford launches down the main straight towards turn 1. It's lap 12 of 28. We've still got a long way to go. 17 laps, as a matter of fact. Al 1 second behind. So it's a solid restart from Rockford. But I imagine Al will be getting ready to cut down that gap. Try and go for the race lead. Daniel Koo hovering behind in P3. Crichton P4, followed by Spicer. Seb pulls his Williams up. A little bit of a lock-up. ACW P7, 6/10 back. Needs to try and stay within that 1 second range. It's something that Bompton hasn't done. Look at that, 1.1 seconds. Needs to get within that 1 second range sooner rather than later. Around turn 10 and on to the straightaway that leads towards turn 11. Through the chicane goes the entire midfield. Not a bad camera angle that was. On to the long straight. Levi, you can see the train of cars, just a whole line of them. Trying to stay in each other's slipstream. Around the hairpin. Third gear, up to 4th, 5th, 6th gear. Back down to 5th. Bit tentative through there from Seb. Just be hoping to stay in this top 5 fight. Round turn 1. Into turn 2. Down to 3rd gear. And takes a nice early apex. Round turn 3. Applies the power gently. Up to 4th gear. 5th gear. 6th gear. 7th. We'll be braking hard at the 100 board. See the locking up in front. That will distract these guys just a little bit. Just sort of distract you at the very apex of the corner. It's a shame that after all this time, that's still a thing that happens. It's really annoying, that visual glitch. Hope they put a fix to that in 24. I highly doubt it. But I suppose it's good to remain hopeful. Two and a half tenths separating the top 2. Al in the slipstream. Not using any battery. Just using the natural slipstream, and he's got to run. To the inside. Rockford's holding firm. Will Al dive? He looks, he dives. Pulls it up. Contact just a little bit, and here comes Daniel Koo. He moves through into 2nd position. Rockford down to 3rd. Onto the main straightaway we go. Beginning of lap 14, DRS is enabled, and we're reaching the halfway point in this Grand Prix. Rockford close. Doesn't go for any sort of move just yet. How desperate will Crichton get to try and get by? At the moment, Rockford's maintaining pace. So I don't think there'll be an incredible sense of urgency. He has a look. He commits to it. The two give each other room. Limited contact. And with better traction out of the hairpin, Crichton moves up to 3rd. That was just tyres there. Rockford couldn't do anything on those hards. There was definitely an opportunity to make the move. There wasn't much contact. There might have been just a little bit between the two. But all in all, a very solid battle through the hairpin there. Seb, can he find a way through? Up to 4th gear. 5th gear. Then 6th. Turns on the battery for a bit. There's Seb. In the Williams, further back. DRS open. Rockford having a look. And Crichton just moving across just a little bit. Just to tell, look, no mate, don't go for it. I will cover you. Rockford obliges and stays behind. DRS open. Battery turned on. Spicer closing the gap. Has a look but can't commit. Prezzo makes a mistake. And that's a virtual safety car. The third of the night. Front wing missing on that Haas. He will have to pit. I can't see a yellow dot moving onto the track either, so I think this will just be a VSC. Safety car still in the pits. Yes, it looks like it. So the drivers need to be incredibly careful with the Delta. They need to pay close attention to it. In he comes. New set of mediums at the ready. New front wing as well. Prezzo will just be hoping to arrive at the finish. Alright, still waiting. Still just waiting. There's Rockford getting out of line. Make sure he doesn't run up the back of somebody. Still yellow. Then we're getting ready. Al's turned up the wick. There we go. And Daniel Kuhn's got a run. DRS open on the Williams. He moves through into the lead. Rockford having a look at Crichton. They're both arriving here at a rate of knots. Crichton round the outside. He overshoots it completely. Runs very wide and rejoins behind Spicer in 5th position. Round the final kink. Onto the main straight. DRS open on Al's Alpha. Towards turn 1. Rockford with the run, but he's got nowhere to go. Makes, I think, slight contact with Al. Slight contact, I think, there between Spicer and Rockford. Round turn 3. Crichton looking round the outside, can't get it done. Bit of a twitch there from the McLaren. Crichton having a look round the outside. He has to be fully committed here on the brakes. Spicer just that little bit more. Both cars get pretty good traction and Crichton has the inside line. He gets in front and retakes 4th. Understeers quite a bit. Maybe an opportunity for Seb to go back through? No, he stays behind. Good battling there. Good accident avoidance again from Crichton. Both he and Rockford had so much speed down that long straightaway. Rockford pulled it up just about. Crichton had to use the runoff area, try and avoid making contact. Did that pretty well, I'd say. Down the long straight towards the hairpin. See Al getting very close to the back of the Williams, or Crichton getting very close to the back of the Alpine. Round the final corner. Not a bad angle, that is. DRS open towards turn 1. No one's quite close enough to do anything just yet. Round the sweeper. Up towards the hairpin. Roscoe arm gets by Nickman. That's for P13. 3 tenths between the top two. 2 tenths now. It's a head around the kink towards the hairpin. Oh, Al pulls. Oh, he gets a shot from the rear, and around he goes. He and Rockford came together at the hairpin, and Al drops down outside of the top 10. Up goes Rockford into second. He's battling Crichton for the position. He has the inside line. Rockford stays in front. The two Sebs are battling away as well for 4th place. It's all kicked off at the front. Al, a huge shot in the rear, spinning him round. Rockford appears to be in one piece with that front wing, which is terribly surprising. That was a fair old whack at turn 6. Seb putting pressure on Seb. Seb looking around the outside of Seb. But Seb hangs on to position. The Williams said he's doing quite well there to hang on. I thought Spicer had a decent enough run to try and set something up at the final corner. Instead, Spicer has a huge moment coming out of turn 16. Managed to keep the car on the tarmac, which is the most important thing. But yes, I thought Spicer might have tried to go round the outside of the hairpin to give himself the inside line at the final corner and get in front. That ultimately didn't happen, as Roscoe and Bompton battling away for P12 there, just briefly. Into the hairpin. Some very interesting battling at the front of the field. It's got a bit of battling further back. We got this top 11 train. And then there's a bit of a gap between Roscoe and Al. Roscoe having to fight his own battle here with Bompton and Nickman and Warren. Matt Levy down in 16th position. He's had no fun on those hard tyres. For him, this is purely a game of survival and hoping that the medium runners can't make it. And Brazo further back, he's just vibing right now. Waiting for the carnage to unfold, which it might happen, you never know. Rockford close, but not close enough. Warren gets by Nickman, that's for 14th place. Around turn 16 and back onto the main straight. We'll begin lap 19 of 28. We've got 10 laps to go here at Shanghai. Oh, Rockford getting close. Can't find a way through though, heading into turn 2. Just stays behind Daniel Koo. Up towards the first sector split. Towards the hairpin at turn 6. None of these guys go for a move. No one's quite close enough. Plenty of locking up. Gee whiz. I hope they do fix that. That's ridiculous. Ferrari Pro was a bit offline there at the exit of the hairpin. Perhaps he might have lit the rears up just a little bit. Got himself out of shape. Oh, a bit of an overshoot there from Apollo. Bit too eager on the throttle as well. Grid Jokes is close. Apollo responds with a bit of battery just to keep the Haas behind. Bompton. Yellow's out. He's around. He's gotten going again. He's kept it out of the barriers. Well done. He's down in 17th position now. Daniel Koo holding the lead. Rockford in second. Al moves up to 10th place. Locking up through the hairpin. Up towards the kink. Oh, running wide. That's Apollo Pepsi. How vulnerable is he now? Not terribly vulnerable. Stays in front of Grid Jokes. Bit of understeer though. Grid Jokes very close behind. Oh, Owl almost goes into the back of the Haas. Got very, very close to the Haas's gearbox. Owl, will he set up a move? Surely he will. He dives it down the inside. Grid Jokes leaves room. And running wide is Apollo. They make contact. Very wide contact again. Levi can get around it. He's up to 10th place. Apollo down to 11th. Oh, I thought Levi was going to get the short end of the stick there. I really did. It looked like he was in a really awkward position. Levi, oh my word, really? A 5-second penalty for overtaking what was basically a car crashing that recovered. That's ridiculous. But unsurprising, this is F123. Levi will set up a move here. Oh, no he won't. Grid Joke still has DRS. He's got decent straight line speed in that Haas. Few position changes further back. Warren gets by Roscoe. The two make contact at the apex there. So Roscoe losing a little bit of time. He's lost a decent chunk of battery, only down to 10% now. At the front. Danoku still leads. Rockford still second. Crichton still third. 35% battery for the Williams driver. 33 for Rockford. 84 for Crichton. 46 for Seb. Spicer has 35. ACW 73. So both Crichton and ACW, they've got a huge amount of battery to play with. And I'm sure they're going to be using it quite a lot when we get closer to the checkered flag. Ferrari Pro stuck in 7th position, a bit too far behind ACW to have some DRS assistance. He's letting Al get too close. Al charging, I'd imagine, right now. Probably be in... oh, yellows. Bompton's out. Is that a safety car? It is. Our second safety car of the race with only 7.5 laps to go. Well, this race has turned into a sprint. Everyone will be boxing. Everyone will be putting on soft tyres, and everyone's going to send it for the final stint of the race. In comes everybody. You can't afford not to pit. You just turn yourself into a mobile chicane. Oh! Speeding in pit lane for Rockford. He's just blown it again. Did this back in Australia. Had a solid result on the cards, and he just speeds into the pits. A 5-second time penalty for him. Oh dear, oh dear. Matt Plevy onto a set of mediums. Perhaps he doesn't have a spare set of softs to use. Set of softs ready for Roscoe, and look at him tumble. Down to 16th position. It was because of the double stack with his teammate Apollo Pepsi. I'll have to regain those places that he's been fighting for. And this is exactly what Prezzo needed. He's not pitting right now. He'll pit probably on the next lap. Just trundle behind the safety car for a bit. There we go. All that talk about the hard tyre lasting longer than the mediums. Well, we weren't going to see the effects of that in this final stage of the race. Instead, what we get is a sprint. I imagine this is going to be probably 5 laps of sprint racing. And I'm worried for how desperate these guys are going to be. Because I imagine they're going to get pretty damn desperate. Levi, whoa, where are you? Well, you're down in 16th right now. Lag back down there, so there we go. Prezzo, he'll pit in. Put on another set of soft tyres. And then hope for the best. Alright. One more lap behind this safety car. In comes someone, I think. No, that was just a trick of the camera. It certainly looked like someone just flew. Well, someone has flown in. It's Warren. He's in. Prezzo follows. So they're bound to get off the medium tyre and onto a set of softs. There it is. Away they leave. leaving only Matt Plevy on the medium tyre. He's the only one. There's the position change graphic. Drivers who have made up the most spots, Plevy and Liddell, they're up 6 each. Those who have lost the most places goes to Big Al. After what happened at turn 6, he's down in P7. But he has every opportunity to try and finish in the top 5, maybe even in the top 3, if the right things happen. Both Zach and Prezzo will catch up in just a few moments. There it is. There's the call. Safety car in this lap. Everyone needs to check up. Try and not do a stroll, which we have done successfully. We just proved that we're more competent than an actual F1 driver. Down the back straight away we go. Towards the hairpin. Mike Ryan on board here with Daniel Coop. Don't need the tyre graphic. We'll keep the penalty graphic up. Rockford's got 5 seconds. If any more penalties pop up, they're going to play a huge, huge part in determining who will finish where at the end of this race. Daniel Coop waiting. He's going, I think. Round the hairpin we go. He's taken off. That's a fine restart from Daniel Koo. He has absolutely taken off. Terrific restart. It's lap 24 of 28. 5 laps to go. It's now down to Rockford to try and hunt down the race leader. There's 8 tenths between Crichton and Rockford as they head through turns 1 and 2. Down through turn 3. And then turn 4. Midfield pack getting through there particularly well. No yellow flags, no incidents. Looking at the timing board. Oh, hello, Seb and Seb battling away at the hairpin. Spicer's holding on to 4th. And he hangs on to it around the sweeper at turn 7. Rockford cutting down the gap to the race leader. That 5-second time penalty is going to hold him back significantly at the end of this race. It won't stop him from trying to fight for the race win though. Over the curbs and around the banked sweeper. On towards the back straight. Half a second back. He might get a little bit of a slipstream effect. But the Alpine and the Mercedes pretty similar. Down the straightaway there. Here comes Seb in the Williams. Trying to go down the inside of the McLaren. Has the inside line and gets in front. That's 4th. Al and ACW battling away here. This is for 7th on track. Al can't fight it. ACW runs wide though. Fastest laps are plenty there as we head towards turn 1. ACW has the inside line. How will he try and get underneath? Surely he will. He does. But ACW has the inside line at turn 3. As a result, he keeps P7. That's good racing between these two. They've lost a decent chunk of time, though, to the cars in front. Having a look is Al down the inside. That's a massive move. ACW switchbacks. But he doesn't have the momentum. And Al hangs on to 7th. That is a bold move. I love it. Daniel Koo hanging on to the lead. Driving well. In towards turns 11 and 12. And around turn 13. Crichton's a bit closer this time. He hasn't used as much battery as Rockford or Daniel Koo. Using a bit of it now. Closing in. Going down the inside. Can't quite outbrake the Alpine, but he's got a better line and he gets in front. 2nd is his. Got one car left in front of him. Onto the main straight. We begin lap 26. DRS is now enabled. Nick Mann, a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. He's down in 12th right now. He's got plenty of cars directly behind him. Round turn 3, then turn 4. 3/10 the margin. Up towards the hairpin. Crichton won't go for it yet. Daniel Koo knows he's probably going to get past down the back straight. Daniel might try and let Crichton through. This is where gamesmanship will come into effect. No one wants to be at the front of the queue, I'm sure, right now. Leave themselves completely vulnerable to not have DRS. Daniel's going to fight it out, though. He'll stay at the very front of the train. And he's got a decent run as well. Someone who hasn't is Warren. He's made a mistake at turn 10. He's down in 17th place. Turning on the battery and the DRS. Crichton will try and make a move, but Daniel Koo is quick. Round the outside. They both have to try and pull it up. They both do. Daniel Koo leaves room. Crichton has the inside line. Heading towards the final corner. They both give each other enough room. And here comes Rockford. He bumps Crichton along the main straight. DRS open. Crichton to the outside. Here at turn 1. He'll try and maintain that outside line to give himself the inside line at turn 3. He's moved into the lead. At the beginning of the second last lap, Crichton leads. But it's definitely not over. It's nowhere near over. Daniel Koo looks down the inside. 2 making light contact, very light. Seb Spicer getting back in front of Seb, but Seb has the inside line. The Williams driver is hanging in there and stays in front. P4. Or tied between Ferrari Pro and Big L. They all get through. Crichton has got margin in hand now. 6/10 is the gap. But as we saw on the previous lap, this Williams is quick. He's completely out of battery though. So how quick is he? With just DRS alone. Seb's got some speed. He's trying to pass Rockford. Daniel Koo, it's close. He dives at the hairpin. He pulls it up. So does Crichton. He gets back in front with an over-under. But Daniel Koo has the inside. No, he doesn't. He slots back in behind. Back into second position. Here we go. This is it. The final 5.4 kilometers of this Grand Prix. And there's nothing in it. Round turn 1. Daniel Koo trying to pull off what Crichton did earlier. Crichton might give him the inside line here at 2, just so then he can keep the inside line at turn 3, which he does. The Williams are side by side. They're going to cost each other time, surely, as they head towards the hairpin. They are only reserve drivers. They have to think about the win. If they battle here now, that might give Crichton the opportunity to break away. They can't do that. Battling, meanwhile, further back. Look at them all. Spread all over the racetrack as we head towards the sweeper. Rockford down to 8th. With the penalty, he'll only drop further. ACW in 7th, followed by Matt Plevy. He's going to finish inside the 10 on those medium tyres. He's done well. 5/10 is the margin. Daniel Koo needs a mega run through this section. 5/10 back, 5.5. As we head around the bank sweeper for the final time. Daniel Koo's got one opportunity. It's down at the hairpin. I think he is too far behind. Seb will try and get through down the inside. He has. He's moved through into second position. ACW and Matt Plevy are battling away as they head through the hairpin. They're running off the road as Rockford tries to move through. But out in front, it's G-Force Crichton. Not only does he win the Chinese Grand Prix, he is the Season 10 Pacific Tier 1 Drivers Champion. Seb home in P2. Daniel Koo in P3. What a performance from the lads out front. That was hard racing with minimal contact. Absolutely fantastic. Rockford, though, he found trouble at the final corner. Spun out. He's all the way down in 16th position. 15th, rather. There we are, driver of the day to Matt Plevy, more than fair. Not the best of qualifying sessions, had a tough race, but during that final stint he made up a lot of spots. But no one's touching this guy. He's won all but two races in this season so far. Been one hell of a championship. 6-time Tier 1 Drivers' Champ, GeForce Chrysler wins. Seb Danoku completing the podium places. The unofficial results then of the Chinese Grand Prix. Crichton is your race winner and champion-elect, with Seb home in second place. Daniel Koo, pole position, put together a terrific race. He finishes third. Seb Spicer in fourth. Al rounds out the top five with Matt Plevy P6 from 15th on the grid, making up 9 spots to finish well inside the top 10. ACW is next in P7, followed by Grid Jokes. Apollo Pepsi with fastest lap in 9th. Bags Liddell rounds out the top 10. Then we have Levi, Roscoe Arm, Nick Mann, Prezzo in the points, Rockford in 15th. Then we have Ferrari Pro, Warren, and DNFs for Bompton, Stevenson, and Eagle. I must say, I was expecting a fair bit more carnage at the front, but those guys proved me wrong big time. They raced incredibly hard, but the contact from what I saw was kept at a relative minimum. There was a bit of carnage further back, particularly with the Ferraris and the Alpines. I saw a decent amount of biffing and barging. But at the very apex of the field, it was very hard fought, very good racing. Excellent. Well, I think that might end another round of the championship. Oh, well done to our top 3 once again. Congratulations to GeForce Chrysler on winning both the Chinese Grand Prix and the Pacific Tier 1 Drivers' Championship for a 6th time. I think, folks, with everything said and done, it's now time for us to end the stream. I've been Lane Everingham. Thank you everyone so much for watching. We hope to see you next week for round 10 of the championship at Autodromo Enzo e Dino Ferrari, better known as Imola, for the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. Till then, it's goodbye.